You know, that's funny. I would have thought that Saudi Arabia was the last place where people could get wild. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. Yeah, sorry about last week, folks. There was an issue in my apartment that left me woozy over the weekend, so I couldn't concentrate enough to get something written down. But that's been cleared up, so I'll condense 2 columns into 1 this week. First of all, there's going to be another Saudi pay-per-view in June. You all know this. No word as to what it will be called or what matches there will be involved. They'll probably wait for after Money in the Bank to tell us. But the question remains, why are they going back to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? Did they learn nothing from last November? Remember when that journalist was assassinated in the Saudi embassy in Turkey? Remember how pissed Americans were at the Saudis for this gangland killing? And most importantly, remember how pissed the WWE Universe was every time the pay-per-view name Crown Jewel was mentioned during Raw and SmackDown? Did people just forget 8 months ago? Will they boo the pay-per-view name once it's given? Or have they figured the Saudis have suffered enough from us to warrant another pay-per-view in the Middle East? Oh, and another thing. Not sure if you're watching the news, but things are heating up around there with American battleships and carriers in the Persian Gulf aiming their guns at Iran. We sure this is the best time for WWE superstars to gather in Riyadh in a huge Target stadium? Well, you know, whatever the negatives, Mr. McMahon will only count the one big positive: the Saudi money. He must think it's worth the risk of war or backlash or the overwhelming fatigue the superstars will feel going from the States to the Middle East and back so fast. Yeah, remember how bad the Raw and SmackDown after Crown Jewel was because superstars are still fighting the jet lag? Why would they wish that on the superstars and the WWE Universe, Cena and Bryan were the smart ones last time. They were fresh as daisies while everyone else was So, I'm guessing Vince thinks the Shah's ransom in oil money for the privilege of the WWE competing in Saudi Arabia is worth every other bad thing about the ongoing deal. Who cares if more workers for Americans get killed brutally, right? It's all about the money. And speaking of Bryan, how about this wild card deal Mr. McMahon is pulling out of his, So from here on out, a certain number of SmackDown superstars can invade Raw, as long as the same number of Raw superstars can do the same for SmackDown. Well, I guess that's a decent idea to keep things fresh in between shakeups, and as long as the superstars don't mind pulling double time, it should keep AEW at bay once they do get on TV. But the problem with that was exemplified on the last SmackDown. There were 2 title matches where SmackDown superstars defended against Raw superstars. As soon as the matches were announced, I just knew who was going to win them, right? There was no chance in hell that Sami Zayn or AJ Styles was going to bring the long-running title back to Raw with them. And as for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, while I agree that just handing them to Daniel Bryan and Rowan was a bad idea, the very least they could do was have a SmackDown tag team fight them for the belts. Instead, they had the Usos try to take the titles they lost to the Hardy Boys a few weeks ago. I mean, having matches between Raw and SmackDown superstars, it's not that bad an idea. It's kind of like interleague baseball. I like baseball. True, 20 years after it started, interleague baseball has started to lose its luster, but during its first year it was rather exciting. The Raw versus SmackDown matches outside of Survivor Series may seem like another step toward returning to one big, happy family, but I'm willing to put up with it. At least it gave us the chance for Kofi Kingston to defend on both shows. But, for the love of San Martino, if you have any intention of keeping the brands separated, stop with the interbrand title shots. If even one superstar beats another from the other brand for a title, it'll bring chaos. Not to mention, once they return to their own brand, those new champions will be demanding a winner-take-all with that brand's like champion, like Intercontinental versus US or Tag Team versus Tag Team. At that point, you might as well just end the brand separation once and for all. The only thing we can hope for is that this wild card crap either A, brings relatively forgotten superstars back in the limelight, or B, doesn't last very long. Because as Edge and Christian would put it, this just reeks of desperation on Vince's part. Okay, I'll be back next week for Money in the Bank predictions. Unless my heart gives out or something. I know I don't look it, but I'm not a young man. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. See ya.